Alright, and so for the last row, we're going to be using the largest petal. That's the last one in the set. Nice and big. And just like we did the 2 previous rows, we are going to go ahead and thin out the edges and curl the ends in. So make sure for the last row you cut out about 9 to 10 petals. Again, in case you need your extra one. Alright, and usually I just work on these 3 at a time because they do kind of dry out fast. So again, we're just going to thin out the petals. And since you've been thinning out all these petals, you should be a pro at it by the time you get to the last row. It's going to be nothing. You'll be breezing through this. And they will dance around, so don't let that frustrate you. For some reason, they like to dance around on my fill pad. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing like we've done. We're going to curl down the left edge, and then we're going to curl down the right, like so. And just take your fingers and roll it in a little more if you need to. Turn it over, and we're going to place it in our spoons. Okay, make sure to press down to create that nice little dip. A little fiber from my toothpick. Sorry, I mumble to myself sometimes, so if I've mumbled a few times, don't worry about it. It's just me talking to myself, which is normal. Okay, so we're going to try and quickly do this. Alright, do the next 3. Kind of sticking. Alright. And also sometimes at this stage I find that once I've added on the 4th row, I need to let my rows dry for a little bit, because sometimes the more petals you add, you can start to make your rows droop. So, man, my hands look big. You can make your rows droop a little bit. So if you need to, just stop at this point and just let your rows sit for an hour or so, just so the glue can dry up a little bit and you don't start having problems with your rows. Okay, here we go. Okay. Right away. Almost done, guys. Almost done. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and curl the other ones, and we will put this together. Okay, so I have finished the last of my petals that I need to apply to my cake, my rose here. And let's go ahead and do that. So we're just going to apply some glue just halfway up on the left, halfway up on the right. So sugar glue or egg whites, you can use either one. Just make sure if you use egg whites that they are pasteurized. And again, I hope I said that right. So, okay, so we're going to do the same thing like we did in the previous row of our petals. And just find one. Let's see which one looks good. I'll go with this one. And just pull away a little bit. Just a little, not much. And you're going to take your first petal and you're just going to insert it just a little bit. Okay? Alright, and this is where I said I would show you how to do this upside down. So I'm just going to turn it over just to make it a little easier for you guys. And you can just go around your rows. You can just insert them each way. Now I'm a lefty and I kind of do things a little backwards, so I apologize if this seems strange. But if you're doing it the opposite way, then you can just place the petals going around on top of each other. So I apologize for that if this looks really strange, but I just find this easier. Take some more rose petals here and add some glue. And we're going to put, I think 9 are actually going to fit around this one. So let's hope and pray it does. Alright, just insert as you go. And press down the previous one if you can see that. And this is looking good. Okay, so it looks like we've come to the end here. I'm actually going to turn this over to make sure. Okay. And sometimes this happens. So sometimes I've spaced them out a little too much. So I'm just going to scoot some of these in. That way I can fit all 9 on here and it'll look nice and full. Okay. Perfect. Okay. And it looks like this glue might have dried a little bit. No worries. Add a little more. And just insert like so. Okay, it looks like we're going to add our last one here. Let me just move these down a little bit. Okay. Like I said, you're going to find yourself adjusting your rows a little bit, so I apologize. I don't want to frustrate you guys with that, but I just want to make sure it's right. Okay, and last petal. Alright, and there you have it. Just press the bottom down. I didn't need that extra petal, I guess. This looks good to me, so I'm just going to go with it right now, for right now. I'm not going to keep readjusting on camera. Okay. So there you have your finished rose. Okay? And let's get a nice close-up so you can look at how pretty that looks. And you just make sure you press the edges, the bottom part down so it sticks really well. Okay, so there you have it, your finished rose. Looks good. So it's very pretty. And as you can see, I have a problem and I need to fix it. There we go. That looks better. Alright, so that is it. That is how I make my roses. Alright, so there you have it, your finished sugar rose. And it looks very lovely. You should be very proud if it looks like this. I would be very proud. It'd be awesome. So at this point, what you want to do is you want to let it dry overnight. Right now my petals aren't flopping around, and I actually love the open look to it, so I'm just going to let mine dry standing up in styrofoam like so. I'm just going to stick it in there. But if you are having the problem of it drooping, the best thing to do is, this is when your drying rack will actually come in handy. So what you want to do is you want to make a hook, okay, and you just want to place it over one of the little bars here and just let it dry upside down for a couple hours or overnight before you turn it back up. That way you won't have any flopping petals and no frustration. Also, if you want to make it look more open, you can add little pieces of foam in between your petals, just where I'm pointing, so that way you can see. Just create a little bit more space, and then just let it dry upside down. So that way, when you turn it up, just remove the foam, and voila, you'll have an open rose. And I'm actually just going to show you some other roses that I worked on earlier this week. That way you guys can get a nice little look at them. And this is me using the same technique for pretty much all of them. So this one actually had an accident and is missing a rose petal, but as you can see, same technique, not exactly like the other one, but this is just to show you how they come out differently every time I do one. So this one's a smaller one here, hope you guys can see that. And also with this one's the same size as the one we made in the tutorial, but just, yeah, it looks bigger. Weird, right? So again, I use the same technique for all my roses, and each time they all come out differently. So don't get mad if yours doesn't look exactly like mine. Just make it your own. That's the best thing. That's what makes cake decorating so fun, is to make it your own. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment at the bottom of the video or on my Facebook page, and I will definitely answer you back as quickly as I can. I'll also leave the information that you will need, or information so you can get the supplies you will need to make your sugar rose. So that'll include the gum paste recipe, the sugar glue recipe, and just where I've got my cutters and all the other supplies I talked about in the beginning. So until next time, I hope to share another sugar flower tutorial with y'all very soon. So thanks again for watching, and later, everybody.